So, hello and thank you. My name is Christoph Moser, and I want to tell you about the journey we made since 1.5 years ago to come from a monolithic environment to a microservice-oriented architecture. Who are we? We are the REWE International Digital division, newly formed in January this year. Before that, we were the web systems department, and we still are responsible for all the web platforms, mobile applications, and e-commerce solutions provided by REWE. And to get some perspective on what we do actually, is we have about 95 internal websites. We also provide services for external websites of our companies, and we published about 30 mobile applications in the different mobile stores. To myself, I'm Christoph Moser. I started at REWE in 2010 as a .NET web developer. Rose through some roles in my life to software engineer, analyst, or and many different others. And now, since this start of this year, I'm head of the platform development department. So, what I want to tell you today is how we came where we are today. For that to start means telling you about what our architecture was like 1.5 years ago. We had 3 simple layers. The first one and the top one were the web platforms and services we provide. As I've said, it's up to 95 web projects that we are currently developing. Underneath them, they use the monolithic DLL actually, where business logic and content management logic was provided for the different projects. And underneath them all, we had exclusively Oracle databases providing us with the persistence we needed. This looked fine and worked for quite some time, actually, because we didn't have that much change. We deployed, as mentioned by my colleagues before, like 3 or 4 times, not a year, but in 2 or 3 months per project. It was fine, but it wasn't dynamic enough, and we couldn't develop fast enough. And also, in practice, it more looked like this. So we had our different front ends and services. They all had their own instance of our monolith, and therefore, we ran into the problem that we had multiple versions of our monolith over all the systems. The database always stayed the same, but the versioning was absolutely horrible. We ran into multiple problems, like merging through our projects. It got very complex to just merge one simple change in one line of code to another project, because you had to do so many migration stuff. Also, because we developed the business monolith in our project, we also got project logic into our business cases, which didn't mix when we did a merge on another project. In the end, we just weren't prepared for that kind of dynamic we're used to now, and we had to change. And that's what we decided when we had the possibility, which was given to us when the company decided to provide us with the financial and personal resources to build our own department. And we were going to start a revolution. We wanted everything to change instantly. We wanted to finish and then be done, have a perfect environment after all this. And so the first thing we decided was we're going to kick everything into the trash bin. And that was about 3.8 million lines of code we threw away. And decided that we're going to do a new service-oriented architecture. And for to accomplish that, we saw three phases. We need to plan, do something in the middle, and then we're going to be finished. Why did we think it is that easy? Well, because the project team we created was filled with 3 developers. And I'm a developer myself, but we're not project managers, and we think things are way easier than they look. And so we started everything from scratch. We didn't have any clue about microservices. We didn't have any clue about OAuth in detail, what security measurements we need to take, and so on. So we had to go into the best practices, into the standards, into the technologies we need to get to know. And overall, we had the challenge that we needed to be finished in about 8 months, because another project was already waiting and set up beside us that wanted to build on our platform. So we started our journey, and first things were that we needed to define our architecture, which was easy, and we got on smooth roads. So we knew we need RESTful APIs, and it doesn't matter if it's Node.js, it doesn't matter if it's .NET Web API, if it's Java or something like that. REST is the way of communicating in this world now. Underneath that, we will need a service layer who will just be there for communicating. It has no logic besides maybe transforming into JSON. Nothing else. Then we have our business layer, which is also encapsulated. It just provides the RIAG Digital logic, so we can provide every company we are developing for with the same logic. And then also we knew that we needed a persistence layer who doesn't just talk to Oracle. We need a persistence layer that is talking to every technology. If it's MongoDB, Elastic, Oracle, doesn't matter. It needs to be able to talk to everything. The first problem we encountered was that we were perfectionists. So we discussed hours and had many meetings about every dot we made and about every diagram we drew. And that held us back. Very, very difficult to overcome that. But after all, we saw that it was right to question everything we did and question everything we already had. But there comes a point where you don't get forward anymore, and you just have to decide and take a leap of faith that you are going into the right direction. Otherwise, it would have taken us years to build up the environment we have now, and not the 8 months. So what we came up with after some 2 or 3 months was that we had a workable prototype, which was combining every layer we planned to do. And we saw that our old code repository, which was TFS, doesn't work with us anymore in this kind of environment, and so we changed to Git. Changing to Git also meant that we had to think about our development cycle and our deployment cycle, and so we had to re-architect that as well. In the end, we came up with a mix of providing information in Confluence for everybody and automating the information we stored there with some handcrafted tools into our development cycle, and then deploy by Team City. Another thing we really felt was when we started working was nostalgia. Because we wrote that monolith over years. It was so much hard work in there, and every line of code had a reason why it was written that way. So we were completely blinded by our insights and discussing if it's really possible to change that, maybe we can use this code again, and so on, because we love our code. We're developers. It's our tools we use to express something of us, and that also means that meant for us that we had to take a step back. It was fine that we were thinking about reusing, reorganizing, and that we thought about everything, but you have to take a step back, breathe, and then try to argue why you want to do it the old way. I can tell you, most of the times you don't have any arguments why you should do it the old way, because you're just too much in love with your old processes. So the next wall we hit was that we didn't estimate correctly how complex of a system we need, and also that the environment we're working in is not that greenfield project friendly, because microservices turned out to be more complex in our setting than we hoped for, because we are living on Microsoft servers, which are not that easy to Dockerize. We have central databases where you have problems with versioning, stored procedures, and so on. And that meant that a greenfield project, the way we planned for, wasn't really that possible. The central components always made us problems, and also the established processes that we can't just kick out willy-nilly when we are working for our customers. So the revolution was over, and we started to think about an evolution. Evolution meant that we are going to build a greenfield project. We know that it's brownfield under that. There is crap under there, but as long as our project and our architecture looks awesome from the outside, nobody will care. We will get the time and the resources to rebuild that stuff, if it's tomorrow or in 1 month or 2 years. We will be able, if and only if the architecture is ready for that. That means thinking about interchangeable components everywhere. No module is allowed to be deeply connected with another one. And what we also saw, that the whole environment we work in, and the food sector, is quite dynamic currently, and also the e-commerce sector, that we had very changing tides. Some were positive, some were negative. The positive ones were that we had new findings all the time during the project. New technologies like the whole Elastic Stack, the Swagger, which is an API documentation language. We found and were eager to test them and build them into our project, and also learned about all the best practices in that sector. We had completely new revelations about what e-commerce can be and how we can build software. And most importantly, we got cool new toys. But the negative sides were that it's an immense learning curve. Every time you get a new tool, you need to know how to use it. And also the maintainability, because we're in a huge business environment, and going down for 10 minutes can mean thousands of euros or 10,000s of euros lost. And so the new toys we loved, therefore we had new problems that we had to overcome. All of these factors meant that we had to know our boundaries and adapt to them so that we can move forward. We can't do a greenfield, well, that's okay. We can do a greenfield brownfield. One other thing we oversaw while busy working on our project was our whole fellowship. We had a very busy project. We had to be set up in 7 or 8 months, and we had no time for communicating to outside of our API world. All of this had negative effects because before we were taken out of teams, these teams had to carry our missing weight, our additional weight for the daily and operative business. We gave them absolutely no insight what we were doing actually, and from the outside it looked like we were unproductive. Why? Well, that's easy. You're writing on boards, and in the end, you have like one service API, which does the same thing the monolith already does. So that doesn't mean anything to someone who isn't in the project. So the relationships got stressed, and we had to think about our way of communicating inside our department. We were able to overcome these flaws, but it showed us that enablers of the project were on every level, not just the top management who gave us the resources, not just on my boss's side, also on the side of my colleagues. Without them, that wouldn't have been possible. We came to a happy end, after all. We were finished after 7 or 8 months. And what we ended up with is more or less simplistically this kind of structure. We have a RIAG service platform now, which can be used in every kind of technology. Is it web-based? Is it mobile-based? It doesn't matter. Behind this service platform are several modules, which are split into sub-modules. These were modules we weren't able to split because of centralized components. But they're sub-modules, and that's the thing. We can split them if we want to. Beneath all this, we have a business intelligence layer, which is encapsulated, and it means that we have a central component which is providing us with logic, with RIAG logic. Our persistence layer is was completely written new, and is now able to communicate to Elastic, to Oracle, and to MongoDB, without recreating the whole surroundings of this major project. And also, we were able to use the persistence logic that the requirement needs, and not just because we have Oracle in the background. Because of our evolutionary approach, we were also able to provide most services and layers on a greenfield basis, and only had very little in the background that is still old and historic, and we will change moving forward. The first love child we had with this architecture is the Billa online shop, which we launched in autumn last year. And we hit absolutely remarkable numbers with that, because currently we have a high of like 3,500 orders per day, and we are able to provide the front end with new features every day, because we can deploy and implement things as very fast. So I hope I could give you a bit of an insight what the challenges were for us and how they can be overcome. And if you think this would be a nice field of working in, we're also hiring. And thank you. So, You mentioned REST. Have you taken a look at Kafka RabbitMQ to do some event sourcing? Yes, we have. We have a RabbitMQ, I think, for our CMS, because we also completely recreated our content management system, and that was done in Node.js. And in RabbitMQ, we are forwarding events to actually publish the content from internal databases to external databases. But Kafka, not yet, but they are obviously a feasible solution to Dockerize our microservices and provide them with the data they needed decentralized. What kind of monolithic systems would you never consider fragmenting to microservices? None. That's easy because I think you can fragment every system you have. It's just that you have to think about the kind of fragmentation you want. It doesn't make any sense to have one big monolith standing there, and if you touch it and it falls over, everything goes down. So if you have like a big system that never changes, like the colleagues before me explained, maybe just think about fragmenting it in 2 or 3, so it's easier to develop and deploy. How do you manage service discovery? Currently, the only thing we provide is Swagger documentation, which is generated automatically. Swagger is one of the most hyped documentation languages yet, and seems to be the way to go currently. Yeah. Did you use a standard like JSON API or Help for your REST? Yeah, we used Swagger, and also just the standards that are provided by Microsoft.NET, because we are building our services currently in Web API.
Christoph, thank you very much.